What is just a placebo effect, but most people don't realize how long it takes a coinsta to process and count coins and return a receipt. It finishes quickly, so quickly that folks are skeptical of the accuracy, so a fake delay, with fake counting noises, was built in, giving folks more confidence in the results. Beats headphones have weights inside them to make them heavier and give the illusion of quality and sturdiness. I got called broke for having Bose headphones and not having Beats, or $300 plus pair of Bose headphones. I'm not sure if it still does this, but at one time Google Docs intercepted the Ctrl+S shortcut and briefly changes the cursor to the thinking cursor, hourglass, beach ball, whatever your computer does. You don't need to save your Google Docs. They save every tiny change on the server, but people are used to doing it. I install commercial audio video systems on bigger, more involved jobs like stadiums and arenas. We have AV consultants who don't work for my company but are a big link in the chain. As far as designing and teaching the finished system, I don't know how many times I've been up in a 80 boom lift and they want the azimuth or down angle of a speaker adjusted by some ridiculously small amount. So you get back up there, bang a couple wrenches on the speaker, and don't actually move. How's that? Oh yeah, that sounds better. Works every goddamn time. There's actually a story like that when Michelangelo was carving the statue of David. Whoever he was making the statue for stopped by and said the nose was too big, but it only appeared that way because he was looking at it from directly beneath. So Michelangelo went up and pretended to carve it down and dropped some previously cut shavings to save arguing. When my cat wants fresh food, but he still has some in his bowl, I pretend to put more in there. He usually falls for it. Does the bowl have high sides? Eating out of bowls instead of flat plates can sometimes cause issues with their whiskers touching the side and being overstimulated, since they are quite sensitive. The original Febreze was unscented, but nobody believed it worked, so they added scent to it, which makes me so mad. I despise every stinking fragrance on the market and just want things to not smell. If I want jeans to not smell like butt, I don't want to spray them with wet grass smell or whatever. Give me an odorless product. There aren't enough of them. As a note person, giving a user a new monitor will make them swear their computer is faster. The exaggerated sounds of some vacuum cleaners, microwaves and cars to make them sound powerful. The loading screens on some apps that make it seem like they are doing something complex. I once spoke to a guy involved in developing the first ATM cash machines. Early trials showed that users thought that the dispensing of cash happened too fast and didn't trust that it had correctly debited their account for the right amount. So they inserted a wait cycle to make it appear that the machine was counting the cash. That wait cycle is still there today in most machines. As someone who is extremely sensitive to vacuum sounds, this infuriated me. Airport security. Homeland Security's own inspectors were able to get illegal items through TSA checkpoints 70% of the time. But they'll be damned if you think you're gonna get away with taking that water bottle or travel-sized bottle of lube on the plane. So, one time in the middle of a flight during one of my dad's trips to Europe, knife fell out of his pocket, and he realized that it got through TSA and a few countries' security and customs. That minty fresh, zesty clean feeling you get from toothpaste, it started as a marketing strategy and caught on, and now almost all toothpaste is mint because we associate the minty freshness with cleanliness. Also, the whole foaming thing doesn't do anything. When cake mixes first came out, you only had to add water to them, but too many housewives felt like that was cheating and wouldn't buy cake mixes, so the cake mix companies added another step, the eggs. It worked. Apparently the cracking and adding of the eggs to the batter was enough to make it feel more homemade, and cake mixes became extremely popular. Now I'm mad. I have probably 3 cake mixes in my pantry right now that I keep using up all my eggs before getting to make. If it wasn't for those housewives I would have had cake by now. Unbelievable. The airplane that mommy feeds you. I don't think it's really an airplane. As a former lifeguard, I can assure you that whatever cleanup you see lifeguards doing after someone vomits in the pool is almost certainly just show. There isn't really anything you can do. You just let the filter chlorine take care of it and pretend to clean to please the suburban moms. Do commissioned creative stuff. If I deliver same or next day, People don't think I spent enough time on it. If I wait 3 days to driver, people are happy because they assume I worked on their project non-stop even though I was done a day or two prior. People don't just do this with creative stuff if it makes you feel better. We did the same thing when I did tax returns. A return might be done 15 minutes after the person left the office, but we'd wait 1-2 days before calling them to let them know it was ready. People need to feel like a little more time was spent on something to justify the price. I think it's because they don't think of it as paying for a person's experience, education, artistic talent. They think of it as just paying for a person's time. Your blanket covering your legs yourself from a serial killer at night. Well, it's worked so far. So joke's on you, buddy. I swear my car performs better immediately after it's cleaned. Awards on Reddit. Edit, thanks for all the awards. Dislikes on YT comments. I never understood that. The numbers don't even go down. My dog's medicine coming out of his treat tin instead of medicine packaging makes a seconds ago disgusting medicine taste mysteriously treat-like. I just tell him to his face that it's a treat when it is clearly a pill covered in peanut butter. Detoxifying nonsense juices. Your body's liver and kidneys are enough to detoxify your blood. You don't need avocado smoothie with cows come inside it, and water is all you need, except sometimes salt electrolytes to retain that water, as I've recently learned. You're not acting like an insane person because you ate sugar. Yep, even for kids. They aren't acting wild because they ate sugar. They're acting wild because A. You told them that's what happens when they eat sugar. B. Most of the time they have an opportunity to eat a bunch of sugar. It's while doing something fun and exciting. Birthday party, trick or treating, etc. Loading spinners on web pages. I once had a user complain to me a web app was too slow, and it was pretty fast. So I tested him by making the animation spinner spin much faster. He went to my boss to praise me how much faster the web app was. Spin.js is what I was using. Not even a spinner, but we added a message after loading that said nearly there when it got to the next step, and we got significantly fewer slow loading complaints. It is not uncommon to having a loading screen or icon placed in queries sometimes just because the average user doesn't expect it to be this quick. Intentional lag on websites when signing up payment processing. Turkey doesn't have enough tryptophan to make you sleepy. You're most likely sleepy cause you ate too much and your body's in rest and digest mode. It's a placebo when you eat a meal that includes turkey and say you're tired but eat a meal of the same calories and conditions with chicken instead and you don't feel tired. It's conditioned into American culture because of overeating at American Thanksgiving. That free shipping is a better deal. It generally means they've added the cost into the product instead, but you feel like you've gotten a better deal. When I was a waitress 100 years ago, my customers asked me all the time to turn the heat up down because they were too hot cold. I'd be like, oh yeah, definitely, let me go take care of that for you. Then I would go stand in the back, drink some water and then head back to the table and tell them I'd adjusted the temperature. It worked every single time. They could also just not want to be the annoying person who asks twice. Not in every case of course, but occasionally I'm sure that happened. Not sure if it's really placebo, but there is research done on how a car door should sound when you close it. A flat and boring bank sound would do just fine, but a lot of people find that soft, plush and yet firm schrumpf sound reassures them the door is closed. Someone please do a better job here describing car doors closing because mine sucks. MLMs. People feel successful when in fact they're losing money. This is also why you can't pity buy from someone. I know so many people who say they're anti-MLM but then just buy a single item or two when a friend starts to sell. That's worse than outright saying no because now you've given them that successful feeling and encouraged them to keep going longer and losing more money. Fancy bottled water. Who else mashed the down under buttons on the DS or Game Boy when they were trying to catch a new Pokemon? When I worked trained tech support, our agents would always get pushback from customers when we asked them to power cycle their phone, which 9 times out of 10 would fix their issue. So, I had them tell the customer to read them some numbers off the back of the battery, when they were still removable, that we absolutely did not need. Then we told them we refreshed a few systems, and they put their battery back in and it's all fixed. Alternatively, when batteries couldn't be removed, we'd tell them that if the phone was powered on while we did the update, it could ruin their SIM card, so they'd make sure to power off their phone. I'd do nothing. They'd turn it back on and it'd work great. But if I had told them to power cycle their phones, no way. Drinking Canada Dry ginger ale helps with an upset tummy. They were sued because their ginger ale has no ginger in it. And that was the only stuff that helped when I had the stomach flu as a kid. I got the stomach flu a lot too. Dears box users, spamming A does not speed up loading screens. You may not like it, but that's the truth. The idea that drinking orange juice shortly before going to bed will keep you from sleeping because of the vitamin C. The same people who swear that it works like coffee on them eat raw tomatoes for dinner all summer long and never complain about sleeping issues, even though tomatoes contain more vitamin C than a glass of orange juice. Your permanent record. Colleges care more about what you say on Twitter and Facebook than what you said to Dakota in 3rd grade. The only time your permanent record means something is if you transfer within the district. Wine prices. They've done studies that show people think wine tastes better if it costs more. But when they do a blind taste test, very few people, even people who are wine drinkers, not everyone, there are some people who can tell, but it's a pretty small percentage, can't distinguish between pretty cheap 15-20 bottle and expensive wine. Astronomer here. Police and hospital workers may swear otherwise and always argue when I say this, but despite numerous studies, no significant correlation has been found between more crazy behavior and a full moon. People just tend to notice when there's a full moon and it's a particularly busy night is all. After all, you're not going to note the phase of the moon when it's a new moon and thus literally no moon in the sky to note. Milky or opaque white moisturizing body wash. It's the same as the clear ones. It's not more moisturizing. It just has white pigments in it. But because it's not clear, people associate it with lotion and think it's better for the skin.